Hello and welcome to my 1 to 99 range guide with costs and time estimates included. First, I want to start off by saying that this guide is intended for people who either choose not to or cannot afford to do chinning. Obviously, chinning is the best experience per hour, but it is very expensive and not available to pures who have already completed Monkey Madness like myself. This guide is going to focus more on conventional but still fast training methods. Obviously, there are many different ways and places you can train range. I'm not suggesting that this is the best. This is just one that I've decided to make a guide for. I have all the cost and time estimates for this one, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of show those. So when I went to test this out, I wanted to get as real an estimate as possible of the time it takes to gain the amount of experience early on. So I needed to drop my range all the way down to 1, so I decided to camp out at the entrance to God War's dungeon and let the snow kill me all the way down. Alright, so from level 1 range, you're going to go ahead and start out with the best gear you can, which is leather. I would recommend iron knives, as the speed of them is much better than a short bow, and there's really no sense in using bronze or iron arrows. So you're going to head over to cows and lumberage, really anything in lumberage, cows, chickens, men, goblins. I just chose cows because that's where I started. Get those cow hides, make your first 10,000 coins or so. I would recommend you always wear the best gear you can afford. If that's not a Robin Hood and an archer ring, that's okay. But don't be afraid to wear the leather body and a coif. It looks newbie, but each one gives a +2 range bonus, which combines to equal the same as an archer ring. People pay millions of coins for an archer ring, and you can get a leather body and a coif for 30 GP, and they give the same bonus. Okay, now that we have our leather and our iron knives, we're going to kill these cows. We're going to kill them from 1 to 20 range, and that's going to take about 40 minutes to get level 20 range. Okay, now that we've got our 20 range, we're going to head to our next location, which is going to be rock crabs. So we're going to start with the iron knives because we're only level 20 range, but we're going to take the bone crossbow and with bone bolts as well, because as soon as we hit 28 range, we're going to switch over to the bone crossbow. This only sacrifices a little bit of speed, but it gives us a lot more power, and the bolts are a lot cheaper than iron knives. Personally, I do not like rock crabs at all. I hardly train there at all. I know they are a popular location, but I hated the crowds and also the lack of good drops. When I was building this account, I was poor. I was not funded by any main or any friends, so I had to make my own money, and I personally preferred Chaos Druids. The Grimy Renars and other herbs they drop really helped me build my account up, but they are slower experience because they do have some defensive statistics, unlike rock crab. Now you could cannon here for extra experience, but it's kind of annoying and unnecessary, and with this guide video I'm doing it without the use of any cannon, so we're just going to go conventional training, switching to the bone crossbow when we get to 28 range, and we're going to stay up here at rock crabs until 50 range. That's going to take us just about 4.5 hours. You're going to have to kill 480 rock crabs to go from level 20 range to level 50 range. By now, you definitely want to have your Ava's accumulator. Definitely get that by the time you're done with rock crabs, if not before. Okay, we are now 50 range and have a lot more options to train on. You could stay at rock crabs, but let's face it, that's extremely boring. For the purpose of this video, I decided to go to the ogres just outside of Castle Wars due to their weakness to ranging and low defense. Now, when I was building my account, I did a lot of this training at Blue and Green Dragons and also at Elder Chaos Druids in the Wilderness. I have a separate video up showing that if anyone's interested. This stretch is a little bit of a grind. We're going to be using the bone crossbow from 50 to 61 range and then switching over to the rune crossbow with myth bolts. They just give us a little more power. And we're going to use the rune crossbow until 75 range. And in this time we will have killed 4,621 ogres, taken just a little over 34 hours, and we will have gained over 1.1 million experience. Okay, we are now 75 range and have a lot of tools at our disposal. I personally recommend the Toxic Blowpipe as it is completely overpowered for training. I also recommend training in the Nightmare Zone. I really enjoy the Nightmare Zone. I have basically gone from 75 to 94 range myself doing this method. In the Nightmare Zone, your gear choice is extremely important as it will greatly influence your XP per hour and the amount of supplies you use. Definitely want to use your blowpipe and chaps and a fury if you can afford it. If not, a glory works. Holy Sandals are great too, +3 prayer bonus. I use an Archer Ring Eye. If you can afford Ring of the Gods, that would be a good option. If not, if you're poor, you can honestly use the Lumbridge Draenor Tasks Easy reward. It gives a +1 prayer bonus, so it's better than nothing. You're going to want to make sure you have the right quests done. So Lost City, Vampire Slayer, Grand Tree, Tree Gnome Village, and Fight Arena. That will get you the best monsters. You're just going to pray protect for melee. I take 7 Overload Potions and 21 Prayer Potion 4. So this setup allows me to last anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours, which I think is pretty good. And I'm gaining 90 to 95,000 experience per hour as a pure with no void. I personally use Myth Darts. They're pretty cheap and still pretty good. You will go through between 700 and 800 darts per hour with Ava's accumulator. I would not even do this without Ava's. Anyone at this level should have an accumulator though. Also, you should go through about 1800 to 2000 scales per hour. To go from 75 to 99 range using this method, it's going to take you about 132 hours. And in this time, you'll go through around 102,000 Myth Darts and 249,000 Zulrah scales. You will also spend 1.5 million GP just entering the Nightmare Zone. You will use 1,197 Prayer Potions, and you will gain 40 million Nightmare Zone points. Now, I know some people prefer to use absorption potions instead of prayer potions, but I don't pay enough attention for that to be effective. If your overload wears off and your HP goes back up to 51 and those things are hitting you, they will burn through your absorptions extremely fast, especially if you're a 1 defense pure. So I just pay the money and use the prayer potions. You'll make it back with the Nightmare Zone points. Okay, now it's time to tell you how long and how much. We spent 132 hours in the Nightmare Zone and 172 hours total to go from 1 to 99 range. Now to look at the cost of this endeavor. Here's a list of all the supplies. Holy shit, 50 mil. But wait, there's a silver lining. More like a 10,000 platinum token lining. At the current herb prices of about 14,000 GP per herb box, 40 million Nightmare Zone points would get you 60 million coins. The only problem is that only 15 herb boxes may be bought per day, so it would take 281 days to use all that points, or you could imbue 61 warrior rings. But why would you do that? Thank you for watching. I really did enjoy making this video. I put a lot of time into the numbers trying to get those calculations just right. And if you did like the video, please leave a like for me. I'd really appreciate that, and we'll see you next time. Bye.